course, to get to the primary chain, you'll first need to remove several engine components. Next, align the timing marks on the crankshaft sprocket and oil pump housing. As mentioned earlier, this positions the pistons so they cannot contact the valves. After removing the primary chain tensioner from the right cylinder head, remove the camshaft position sensor from the left cylinder head. At this point, remove the chain guide access plug from the left cylinder head so that later on you can remove the upper fastener from the long chain guide on the left side. Next, remove the right camshaft sprocket attaching bolts. The cam may rotate when the fasteners are removed. Remove the damper and the sprocket. Then remove the left cam sprocket attaching bolts. And remove the sprocket. Next, remove the long chain guide on the left side. And remove the chain tensioner arm. Now you can remove the primary chain from the engine. After inspecting the primary chain drive components and replacing any that are worn, you can begin the installation procedure. First, make sure the timing marks on the crankshaft and oil pump housing have not moved. Next, position the chain on the left primary chain sprocket so the camshaft timing mark is between the two plated links. Lower the chain and the left sprocket into the opening in the left cylinder head and place the sprocket on the camshaft hub. Position the chain on the crankshaft sprocket so that the plated link on the chain aligns with the timing mark on the sprocket. Next, place the opposite side of the chain on the water pump sprocket. Then position the chain on the right primary chain sprocket so that the plated link on the chain aligns with the mark on the sprocket. And place the sprocket on the right intake camshaft hub. Before proceeding further, make sure all of the timing marks are aligned properly. Next, install the long chain guide on the left side and the tensioner arm. You can now install the chain guide access plug in the left cylinder head. If you've installed the components correctly, the slack in the chain should be on the tensioner side. At this point, you need to reset the primary chain tensioner so it can be reinstalled. To do this, first, separate the tensioner from its housing and drain it of oil by slowly pressing the check ball end against the shallow side of special tool 8186. After placing the tensioner back in its housing, you need to reset the tensioner by positioning it in the deeper side of special tool 8186 and pressing downward until you reset the tensioner. Once the tensioner is reset, you can install it into the right cylinder head. Next, align the right camshaft sprocket with the camshaft hub. Use a 3/8 breaker bar to rotate the camshaft until the holes in the hub align with those in the sprocket. And install the bolts. Install the left camshaft sprocket in the same way. Keep in mind that the holes in both sprockets will only line up one way with the holes in the hubs. Once the sprockets have been installed, you may need to rotate the engine slightly to take up slack in the timing chain. It's important not to skip over the next step in chain installation, arming the chain tensioner. Failure to arm the tensioner will cause serious problems once the engine is started. To arm the tensioner, use a flat-bladed screwdriver to pry the tensioner arm towards the tensioner. This releases the ratchet mechanism and provides tension until the engine develops oil pressure. After arming the tensioner, rotate the engine 1 revolution clockwise so that the tensioner can extend fully. When reassembling the rest of the front, don't forget to install the camshaft position sensor. Also, keep in mind that the plated links and timing marks are not designed to line up on every rotation of the engine. So you should not rotate the engine 2 revolutions and expect the marks to align.